was young, I was told that there was a creek lined with gold, solid gold.
Glad to see you back for episode 6. It's first shift of the morning. That means I'm in the hole, clearing off the overburden for Bob. It's the end of my shift here. I got some nice bedrock cleared off for Bob to work on. I'm going to take a few minutes though and look around the top of this bedrock and see if I see any nuggets. Bob's been finding all of them. And I'd like to see some gold down there too, instead of just a bunch of rocks and overburden. Always seems to find the nuggets right after I get out of the hole. Says, I don't know how you missed that one. You were stepping right on it. So I'm taking a look for some gold myself. Just like trying to pull a tooth, it just takes a little wiggle action here, and trying to get some leverage down underwater is a little difficult. So I got my one leg there and trying to give it all I got to get this rock, see if there's any nuggets underneath it. Shift change now. Bob's turn to get down there and bust apart that bedrock and get us some gold. Alright, time for Bob to get started here and find us some gold on the bedrock. Time is getting short here. It's about mid-July, and we want to bring this dredge down and do the GPA claim as well. So we're working doubly hard here these last few days to get as much material moved as we can. Here's a nice view of the slope that we had in our hole and the type of material, and you can see we're about 5.5, 6 feet down. Bob will take that bedrock down another foot to 2 feet and break that down, and that makes the hole about 6 foot deep or so. I found it really therapeutic working down in this hole. Being underwater, all you really hear is the sound of your bubbles and the rocks going up, and you're just weightless in there, just floating, working on the rock and moving material. It's really just kind of in your own environment, and just shut off your mind and relax and enjoy the fish and the water. Bob looking for his pry bar. After we spend so much time in this hole working on it, you get pretty proud of the work you do, and you get pretty proud of your hole and your accomplishments. My feet freezing was my biggest problem in the water. After about 30 minutes, when we first started, my feet would just be totally numb. On one of our excursions into Fairbanks, we went to the dive shop and I bought some 1 mil booty liners, and so that with the wet socks and then my 7.5 mil outer booties, and then putting the duct tape around the seam, that really helped a lot. After that, I had no problems with my feet getting cold at all. As we moved closer to the center of the creek, the bedrock was gradually rising, so right about in this area, Bob is about 4.5 feet down. As Bob was working there, I was filming right on the edge of the hole, and I created a couple of little rock slides that surprised Bob. Bob's a little surprised at why these rocks are falling down into his nice clean work area. I was just trying to get him to look up at the camera. Gives you an idea of how we were working there. We had our bucket right next to us, so we'd put all the big rocks that wouldn't go up the hose into that bucket, and when it got filled up, we'd take maybe 6 steps back and dump it off into the back of the hole and come back and do it again. That way we didn't have to continually throw rocks out of the hole and up on top of that pile, which was getting to be quite hard. Looks like this bedrock is going to come right up on the other side of the bank, and on back of where we parked the side-by-side there was exposed bedrock, and this was exactly the same type of bedrock that was there. The bucket appearing out of the shadows on its own. After you empty your bucket, always remember to put a big rock inside there, or else that bucket's going to float away. Bob working to free material around this big boulder here, and then he'll carry that to the back of the hole as well. And see all the material that was underneath that rock. It is in material like this that Bob would be finding many pickers. All right, first shift of the morning again. Let me give you a tour of the hole while everything is still pretty pristine. This is probably our last day here. We're just kind of finishing up this little corner here, and we're going to call it quits and bring the dredge down. Rock pile has gotten quite large here to the right. That's on top of that rock gravel bar that we've been working off of the edge of. And that's the streak that we're following. It seems to be working out really well. We're going right up along the edge of that rock gravel bar. We're finding some pretty good gold on this granite schist bedrock. You can see the extent of our hole here, how big it's gotten. Got the granite schist Bob takes down. As I clear the overburden, Bob will take it down about another 1.5 to 2 feet, breaking that apart with pry bars and sucking all that dirt. Here's a good view of the bedrock. This is probably our last day here. We're just kind of finishing up this little corner here, and we're going to call it quits and bring the dredge down. The graylings absolutely love this hole. There'd be mornings I come in there, there'd be 12, 15 of them in there just looking at me. So let's show you a typical clean out here. You can see our sluice and the riffles full with the material. We're using a Keen 3-stage. It has an over-under type of sluice box. tricky to set up. You got to get the flow going just right. You can get a lot of fine material built up at the beginning of that under sluice, and it just doesn't flow correctly. So you got to monitor the end of the sluice and look at the flow from the top and the bottom. Make sure you're getting good flow through that sluice. Typically, what we did is we would do the black mat and check to make sure we're still on the gold. We do a full sluice cleanup after every couple of days. We found the majority of the gold in the black mat area at the header of the sluice, so we would do that clean out every night.
What you do, you're kind of sneak peeking as you're doing it.
Clean out the sluice. We put it in 3 different buckets so we could tell how the sluice was working. We would measure where we were getting the most gold, seeing if there was a difference from day to day. And I would do the final panning, and we would do a count for the 3 different areas of the sluice. It was fun doing the panning. We had a competition to say best pan ever. And some of the pans were best pan ever.
Thankfully, that D9 dozer didn't get all the nuggets out of here. I have the 4.2 gram nugget, call it the birthday nugget. 3.4 gram nugget for Marietta.
We were finding nice pieces. They were coarse. This nugget was quite interesting. It was a flat piece. It was folded in half and fused.
Doing our happy dance here. We're on the gold. We're finding nuggets. Gold in the sluice. We couldn't be happier.
It was fun to watch Bob and Tom in the water, especially when they started to find some of the gold. They were a little bit happier. Tom goofing around, coming out of the water. It looked like he was swimming, but it was only in 4 inches of water. It was pretty funny. Have to keep your humor when you're doing this gold mining. Yep.
So here are some of our stats. You can see we did 87 hours of dredging, and that works out to about 0.4 of a gram per hour. But if you take away that first almost 2 weeks that we were working without any gold, it goes up to almost a gram an hour.
We are the 3 Muska Miners. Please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up.